A hell-like planet discovered in 2016 is even hotter than we thought. Here's what you need to know. About 640 light-years from Earth, an ultra-hot Jupiter, a gas giant with an orbital period less than 10 days, may be even hotter than scientists realized, according to a new study in the Astrophysical Journal Letters, cited by Space.com. Previous studies have noted that WASP-76b sits close enough to its star to complete an orbit every 1.8 Earth days, and is tidally locked, meaning its nightside temperature could be around 1,300 degrees Celsius, and its dayside may be around 2,400 degrees. One effect of the extreme proximity is that the huge amounts of stellar radiation that WASP-76b absorbs has blown it up to 1.85 times wider than Jupiter, despite the fact it carries just 85% of Jupiter's mass. However, famously, a second effect is that temperatures on the day side of the planet are hot enough to vaporize iron, and this iron condenses once it reaches the cooler night side, falling as molten iron rain. The new study adds to this hellish picture with the discovery of ionized calcium in WASP-76b's upper atmosphere, with its lead author explaining in a statement on Queen's University Belfast website that this could indicate that the exoplanet has very strong upper atmosphere winds, or the atmospheric temperature on the exoplanet is much higher than we thought. This discovery leads to a wider point, according to one of the study's co-authors. As we do remote sensing of dozens of exoplanets spanning a range of masses and temperatures, we will develop a more complete picture of the true diversity of alien worlds, from those hot enough to harbor iron rain to others with more moderate climates, from those heftier than Jupiter to others not much bigger than the Earth, he said. Another similarly hellish example of that process in action came earlier this year when a super-Earth orbiting a red dwarf star was discovered only 36 light-years from Earth, according to a study published in the Astronomy and Astrophysics Journal. In a February 18th preprint version of the study available on the archive server, that planet's temperature was estimated to be around 556 degrees Celsius, which is obviously a lot less than WASP-76b, but still pretty hot. Known as GJ740b, it has a mass believed to be around 3 times that of Earth and a radius 1.4 times that of Earth's. This would make it only slightly smaller than Neptune, but much, much smaller than WASP-76b. More similarly to WASP-76b, GJ740b orbits its star, known as GJ740, in just 2.4 days, but its mass and orbital period suggest it is a rocky planet. But as WASP-76b shows, it's not just about discovering that these planets exist, it's also about figuring out what's going on inside and on top of them. For instance, just last year, scientists began to speculate that lava ocean planets do not owe their brightness to molten lava or cooled glass as formerly assumed. Instead, the scientists speculate that their brilliance may have originated from metal-rich atmospheres and reflective clouds. According to research in the Astrophysical Journal, hot super-Earths circle their host stars in 10 days or less, and they actually reflect 40% to 50% of their star's light, in contrast to Earth, which reflects only about 10% of the sun's light. Creatively, the researchers got to that revelation by melting basalt and feldspar in laboratory conditions, and then taking spectrometer measurements of how much light the substances gave off. The results suggest that lava accounts for only 10% of a hot super-Earth's light. At the time of that study, first author Zara Esak was cited as saying, "We still have so much to understand about these lava ocean planets." But of course, adding layers of a complexity like that is going on much closer to home, too. Just this year, for instance, NASA reported that astronomers had detected X-rays from Uranus for the first time using its Chandra X-ray laboratory. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun and is, quite obviously, a part of our solar system. As this distant and cold planet is made up almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, what could cause Uranus to emit X-rays? The answer is mainly the Sun. Astronomers have observed that both Jupiter and Saturn scatter X-ray light given off by the Sun, similar to how Earth's atmosphere scatters the Sun's light. One other possibility is that the rings of Uranus are producing X-rays themselves, which is the case for Saturn's rings. Uranus is surrounded by charged particles such as electrons and protons in its nearby space environment. If these energetic particles collide with its rings, that could cause the rings to emit X-ray radiation. Filling in gaps like this may never end, but the journey is pretty interesting. Even the more speculative ends of it. Evidence of the existence of a 9th planet in our solar system is unlikely to be a fluke, according to a preprint of a California Institute of Technology study co-authored by Michael Brown, the astronomer who led the campaign that saw Pluto demoted from planet to dwarf planet. Planet 9, which is theorized to be many times the size of Earth and would orbit the Sun far beyond Neptune, was originally conceived of due to the unusual positioning of a number of ice asteroids and cometary cores in the Kuiper Belt, according to NBC News. There has been recent pushback against the idea, with some suggesting that observation bias meant overrating the significance of the cluster. However, the new study, which takes into account a greater number of object observations, calculates just a 0.4% chance that the unusual clustering is a fluke. The new study also calculates that Planet 9 is closer to the Sun than previously proposed, with an orbit 380 times the distance between Earth and the Sun at its closest, rather than 400 times. This would make Planet 9 brighter and therefore easier to see, even though Planet 9 may also be smaller than previously calculated. If Planet 9 does exist, Brown's latest analysis, also published on the site Find Planet 9, would make it likely to be either a rocky super-Earth or a gaseous mini-Neptune, according to National Geographic. Cited by NBC News, Brown has said that Planet 9 likely formed a similar distance from the Sun as Uranus and Neptune, but was thrown to its current far-out position by the strong gravity of Saturn. Brown has hopes that the planet might be able to be seen in survey data from a new large telescope at the Vera Rubin Observatory in the mountains of northern Chile, scheduled to be fully operational in 2023. However, interestingly, Brown is currently searching for Planet 9 using existing data and told National Geographic he believes images of Planet 9 already exist somewhere. "I don't think anything has been discovered that was not later found in existing data," he said, starting with Uranus all the way to Pluto and Eris. There are still doubters, though, and one significant theory proposed last year is that Planet 9 is actually a black hole, and like Brown, astronomers from Harvard University proposed to use the planned observatory in Chile to test their idea. According to the study in the Astronomical Journal Letters, Oort cloud comets could be used to detect the black hole because an intercepted comet would flare up and trip the observatory's sensors. According to a news release from the Harvard-Smithsonian Center, a comet approaching the black hole would melt after meeting the accretion disk's heat. The black hole's tidal forces would then disrupt the comet and deposit the matter onto the disk. This process would emit radiation flares. The Large Synoptic Survey Telescope in Chile will have high sensitivity and the ability to scan the entire night sky twice per week, while current sensors have to be trained at a predetermined spot. The LSST's advantages allow astronomers to detect flares from smaller impacts than before. However, Michael Brown is not exactly convinced by the black hole theory. "It was almost a joke when they wrote that paper," he said. "It's funny and it's cute, but there is really zero reason to speculate that it might be a black hole." Of course, we here at TomoNews know who we're siding with on this one, the guy who killed Pluto. But the question of Planet 9 has already been around since 2014, according to the journal Nature, and every year we have been promised that proof is coming soon. So why hasn't it turned up yet? Greg Laughlin, an astronomer at Yale University, cited by National Geographic, believes that is a legitimate question to ask too. "The idea of Planet 9 has held up surprisingly well for something that hasn't been found," he says. "But it's like, why haven't they found it? And where is it?" Pluto killer Brown remains bullish, though. "I think it's within a year or two from being found," he told National Geographic. And again, here at Tomo, we know better than questioning a man who killed off an entire planet. So here's to Planet 9, which definitely exists. Maybe.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.